right, looks like we're broadcasting. Just gonna come over and see who's watching and what's going on. But this is a room here in Blender that I've been working on, and I'll turn on my rendered view here. Basically, it's not rendered, but that is the preview of the render there. Let me just close up a couple things here. And as you can see, we've got a little dummy of our child figure that we're going to be using. This is the room and the things in it I've built so far. You can see when I step out here, it's just a box. We've got a sun set up right here, and that's the angle that it's shooting out of it there. And we've got an irradiance volume here set up so that when we are ready, we can bake this, and it will basically calculate the bounce lighting and stuff so that we can use that in Eevee without having to use cycles to do it, which I highly recommend if you want fast renders. So I built all these objects. Every piece of the bed, as you can see, is a separate piece that I built. The little table here, the lamp. We'll just zoom over here to this lamp that I did today. It's not finished, but all the basics are there. These cylinders here will become springs, these guys. But the cable, you know, the wire, electrical wire running through it, and everything that's holding everything together. We're never going to see it, but there's even that little metal plate and screws and stuff on the back of it here for all of it too. And this is where I've got it so far. Now I have a ton of stuff to do for it. Obviously, all the toys that are going to be on the background, the floor. In the background, all of the bedding and stuff like that. But this bedding is going to wind up actually being cloth simulated. Not all of it. There'll be some cloth simulated stuff to get it to lay on the bed correctly first for, you know, the stuff along the sides and all that. Then there will be another blanket that gets laid over the figure after the animated figure is brought in here and put on the bed, so that the cloth can be calculated and baked with that animation, and then that way everything will look real. It'll move with the figure as it moves, and all that kind of stuff. So very cool there. But what I want to do today is create some toys or some things that he's going to have sitting around the room. He needs books. Eventually I'm going to build a little shelf here on the window, put some Hot Wheel cars and stuff like that there. A couple of buckets with some stuff in them, you know, things like that. Some markers and, you know, stacks of little coloring books and all kinds of junk that just has to get set around the entire room. There'll probably be a little snow globe or something sitting on the table behind him there that I'll probably make it have a little scene with some trees and some kids dancing in a circle, which will be kind of a foreshadowing of the later part of the short film. So that will be cool. Some pictures, posters, different things on the wall. I'll probably use an AI to make some of the images for those kids posters, because why not speed things up? Sorry for you guys who think that's going to take work away from you if I don't use you to make my kids posters. But here's the little secret. I would have made them anyway. I wouldn't have hired you to do it because I do that myself. So I can do what I want when it comes to my stuff, which that's kind of cool in my opinion. Moving on, all this stuff gets painted in Substance Painter also. And yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and move my little origin here for the window, to the window. Oh, I've already got that one set. There we go. And we'll get started on, let's say, a little bucket, like a little beach sand bucket or something like that. Sounds kind of cool. And so I'm going to zoom out of the room here, not the camera, just us, and we're going to go into our gray shaded view here. It just gives us an idea of what we're doing while we're doing it. I'm just moving to a more open area here. And I'm just going to start with adding in a cylinder. And you know what? I'm not going to do a cylinder because then we have to Well, I guess it works the same way either way. Never mind. Let's go ahead and use a cylinder. And I'm going to get it approximately the right size scale here for this kid. That's a really big bucket there. That would be more like a dirty clothes hamper. Just something, he can put some markers or something in, or take to the beach and, put a corpse's head in or something like that. So about that size, and we'll just make sure it's kind of sitting on the floor for the moment. And I want to taper this. There's 100 ways you can do it. The easiest way, you could use a taper modifier, but to be honest with you, it's probably just as easy being this simple of a object to come in here and just select that bottom polygon and scale it. You'll see when I scale this down, it'll taper the bucket about like that. Looks all right. Kind of take a look at it from here, maybe a little bit bigger, something kind of like that. And we're going to just take the top and pop it off like that. So now we have basically a kid's trash can, which this could also double for as well, but we're going to use it as a bucket. Another thing we can do to make this more realistic is come in here and use a solidify modifier on it and give it some thickness. Look at that. Now it's got some thickness. It's down with the thickness. And we're going to go ahead and just apply that. But before we do, let's take that back off. Let's work on giving it a little overhanging lip. I think that's kind of important. Let's just select this top edge like so. We're going to, I don't know if this will work the way I want it to. Extrude out, that's pretty good. Let's see if we can do it again. And then this one we're going to push down like so. We're going to extrude one more time the same way. So we'll just go back to that and do it again. And this one's going to come farther down now like so. And that's basically a kid's little bucket there. We probably should build a handle for it. So I would thinking we'll take a couple of these opposite sides here, like that one. Let's look at this. You know what? Let me make this easy. I'm gonna move the bucket outside the room. Let's just get it out of there, and this way we can sort of move around it, see what we're doing. A little easier, I hope. And we're going to go into edit mode here, and I'm hoping to not screw up because it's a live stream. Hoping to just sort of select an edge on either side of this. We'll just look at it from the top now and select these two edges that are somewhat opposing each other, like that one and this one. If I can, there we go. Navigation's a little funky. And I'm just going to take both of those and extrude those down in the z-axis like that. And basically now we're going to have a little pail handle holders, I guess those are. I'm going to pull those back up just a little bit to where that area is pretty much a square. And now what we did before, come out of edit mode, we're going to take that whole bucket, we're going to add that solidify modifier to it now, and thicken the whole thing up to where, you know, it's got some thickness. Pretty thick, yo. And from there, we're going to apply that modifier to where now this is a piece of geometry that is really that thick. And we're going to go back into edit mode and start doing some cool stuff. So let's take these corners here. Yo, that's thick. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. And we're going to pick that one, and we're going to go on the other side here now. Pick the same one, and what we're going to wind up doing with those, the reason why I selected those, is I'm going to bevel those two corners specifically like so. You can see, and the reason why is we're going to add some segments in the middle, and now those are rounded. Excuse me, like little handles of the pail. I look pretty small in that over there. Let me see if I can transition to the, there we go. Hi, now you can actually see me. So there we go, we've got that done. I think everything's good. I'm going to make a handle for this bucket now. And there's another thing we'll have to do in a minute when we go to smooth this. It'll look funky until we fix the actual polygons on the surface of this thing. So now let's come out and let's make a handle for it. And the best way for that is going to be to add in a plane. A lot of people want to start with boxes. I do that a lot too, but in all honesty at this point, planes are pretty handy. You'll see here I'm going to go to the top, kind of get this essentially in the center, and there we go. And what I'm going to do is create a handle that runs from one side to the other by bringing this in to the width that we're going to have that handle be. Is that correct English, I think? The width we're going to have that handle be. Mm-hmm. And this is just an approximation here. I'm just trying to get an idea. So I'm going to... How big that handle be? And we're going to move that over like so. Oh, I love it that OBS is disconnecting and reconnecting. Cool. We had a little disconnection there apparently. We're going to add a subdivision surface modifier on here. We want to make sure this stays simple, so it does this number. I want to see in my viewport here though how much we're going to subdivide this dude by. So in edit mode this should show us, but it's not, so that's cool. Let's go in here and try to see what we're doing. I don't see my subdivisions showing up, which that's new. Normally you can see it. Oh, we're not in object mode. But I still don't see it, so that's kind of strange. Normally you can see the grid on this. Maybe I need to be in wireframe. Nope. Weird. Okay, so that's a new one for me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna get rid of this modifier. I think I'm going to just go ahead and subdivide it because it's all I need to do anyway. It's weird that that one's not working though. Anyway, probably if I applied it, it would. Let's go ahead back in edit mode though. And yes, if you're asking me W Studios, yes, I have. I've done quite a lot of stuff in Blender. I've used Houdini. I've used Lightwave. I used Maya for 20 years. I'm older than I look. But if you would, type into the chat on this live stream, and I can talk to you easier there instead of you just coming up in my alerts down at the bottom there. Anyway, so what I'm going to do with this handle now is just take some of these pieces in the center. Actually, I only need to take the middle one. Check this out. If we use our soft selection here, you can do this kind of thing and get the beginning of the bend. I'm going to turn that back off, however, now, and sort of just start getting these guys down more into the shape that they need to be, using various tools like scaling and the move tool and so on. They were not in the right position to begin with, so there's that. And I can pretty much scale the whole thing, I believe. I'm also going to apply my scale and rotation here in a bit, but let's just look from the side here like this. And this also is not for the movie that I threatened to make within a year. This is actually for a different, smaller, much smaller production. Just in case you're wondering what this is about. All right, so now that I've got that like so, I'm just going to take those same edges at the very bottom. Actually, let's take these and straighten those up. Let me see here, like that. And then we'll take this whole Actually, we'll just select the polygons here, boom, and scale those inward to be up against the bucket surface. And then we can take the entire object now and move it down a little bit. And you can see this is much more peaked at the top, but hey, there's a cool fix for that. For one, we are going to eventually solidify this, but until that, or before then, I'm actually going to take this and bevel all these edges right here, the ones running across, and this will save quite a lot of time. I like to work quick and efficient if I can, and this will actually round out as long as the bevels don't cross each other, as you can see. And then I'm going to come in with a couple of divisions on those. They're not as round as I'd like them to be, but that's okay. Another easy fix. Probably could have done this with a curve way faster, but hey, who's counting? Only the people watching this video. Okay, so I'm going to take these two and go ahead and spread those out just slightly to give them a little more of the curve they should have. And move these two right here. Just move them up. That way they're not sort of flat. So good enough. And now we're going to take the whole piece here, add a modifier to it. Our good old friend, the solidify modifier, and you can see it's already got some thickness. It's down with the thickness. And I'm going to go in, and you know what? We're going to move our offset here. This is going to be a +1 so that this goes to the outside. That's the plan anyway, and see it goes to the outside now. If I wanted to spend more time shaping this, I could go into sculpting and probably clean that up a little bit better if I wanted to. Where is my bucket? Right there. And we could probably shape the handle much nicer. Turn on our X symmetry and get our radius up quite a bit. And our X symmetry is not going to work because actually we're not on the center line, so this will all be manual. I don't even think, honestly, that I am touching my... I don't think I'm touching the bucket here, so let me make sure that that object is selected. Well, weird. It is, but it's not being affected. Perhaps it's because my solidify modifier has not been applied, and now that it has, ta-da, we can go back into the sculpting mode and it will probably work. Yes, it does. So now if we wanted to, you know, you can come in here and bump these around, but all I'm doing here at the moment, it looks like, is just kind of screwing those up because there's not enough resolution really, which is corrected by putting on a subdivision surface modifier. But I think, yeah, see, that's the lovely thing I did right there to the handle. I think that's okay for the moment, though. I'm going to come here and do some work on this later, but for now, let's just rotate this around. I'm essentially just getting it blocked out anyway, so I'm not really horribly worried about anything detail or character-wise too much at the moment, unless it's important. So I want this to be right at the place that I want that to spin around. I should have rounded those corners too before I did any kind of cool stuff to those, but let's turn off our origins, get this swung back around to where it's going to touch the bucket but not intersect it. Let's go ahead and turn on our view there and make sure essentially that we're not intersecting. It looks pretty good. That's a horrible looking handle there, but I will take care of that momentarily. Maybe not momentarily, but at some point. Now we can come in here with this, with our ends here of our handle and round those dudes out using a bevel. And you know what I forgot to do is apply my scale and rotation. Go back into edit mode here now and apply that bevel again and go ahead and step up those pieces, and now that looks pretty good except for this horrible area, and that's I can't stand to look at it, so let's fix it. Unfortunately, because I rotated the handle, this is going to be a little bit of a nightmare to pull out as straight as I'd like, but that's all right. I can take a lot. I was married to my son's mother, so sorry. It's one of those weeks. All right, so let's get these pulled down. I'm just trying to go in a, oops, wrong one. A straight line here. Deal with that. That's close enough for government work at the moment. All right, cool. That will pretty much be that. Also, well, let's just leave that for the moment. All right, so there's our bucket. Let me see what smoothing will do for that. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Obviously, this would need, what do you call it, double, more geometry, basically, to keep those edges crisp. I can also crease those, but let's leave it like so for the moment. And matter of fact, I could, on the bucket, go ahead and give us another bit at the bottom, like so, to help crease that. It just keeps the turns sharp when you add those extra loop cuts. Anyway, we've got this. So one thing I wanted to do while we're here is just go ahead and UV this thing, and I'm going to do a really quick automatic UV on it. First thing you need to do, of course, is apply all your rotation and scale on all your pieces here that you're going to be doing this to. Otherwise, everything will not look right when you go into the UV space and you try to apply anything to anything. It'll things that you've scaled, like the handle here, will come out looking like a square, the original piece that it was. You also want to make sure that you select everything in X-ray mode so that you get everything. Now see, that does not look right at all, I can tell you right now. And how that should look, we're going to go back here and, oh, there may be two reasons, but normally this just needs to have its rotation and scale applied. If that doesn't do it, then when I do UV it, since that has been done now, I'm just going to smart UV it, and it'll cut anything that's at an angle limit of 66 degrees. Now we've got that pretty good. So it took the front edge and left it in one piece and so forth, and then it took the top pieces and did them like so. It's okay. It's not optimal. It'll be fine unless I want to come in here and put some of my own seams on it, which are easy enough to do. I mean, you can just come in here with an edge tool like so. Just pick something that's like right in the front here, and let's say go underneath, do the same thing. Well, I could just zoom in to this one here, and we just go in here and mark those as seams. And now when we do our UVing again, smart UV project, those will be still recognized as seams. I do have to select them though, that would be handy. So we're going to come back in here and do that again. And now we were going to go ahead and smart UV project those again. Those should recognize those as seams, and now we've cut those in half. So we have 4 of them instead of the 2 really long ones, which lets these other pieces have a much bigger resolution. So now back again over into layout, we're going to grab the bucket and we're going to select it, and you can see that it's a circle and a cylinder with no seams, which is not great. I'm going to go ahead and make the seams for this one and go into our edge mode. We just alt select the bottom and mark a seam there. Where are we at? We're going to do the same kind of up under. I'm going to take off the X-ray mode for now. It's really hard to see what's going on when you've got that going. I'm going to go ahead and mark this as a seam, and I'm just picking the obvious things that should be seams, marking them. You know, where would this cut be? Where's the angle so extreme that it should be cut? I also say that about a lot of people I've dated in my life, and you know, all kinds of stuff. Okay, cool. Let's pick this and go ahead and mark the seam if I can remember what I'm doing. And then I'm going to want to mark one up the back. We're not really going to see where this is, so I'm just going to select it like so, alt select it, so it goes all the way around and all the way inside. So we'll unwrap this from that, mark seam, and now when we select all of our polygons in polygon mode there and do an unwrap, not a smart UV unwrap, but a regular unwrap, we get this, which is ugly as sin. So this is correct, but it looks like something, probably the inside, is not correct. So we need to make some adjustments. Also, these little handles, that might be what this big mess is here. Easy enough to fix. Let me just come back here and turn off our x-rays, see what's going on. So the top is all one ring. That's a really long ring. I'm going to see about a man about a horse. No, I'm going to see about, go ahead and clipping this one all the way in the front. Now that's going to give us a seam. I'm not horribly worried about it though. It's a kid's bucket that's off in the distance. I don't know why that's not taking. Let's go ahead and do the front one. We can do, oh, it's because of those handles. It is indeed because of these nifty handles. So let me go ahead and mark this one. We need to deal with these handles because they do hang down. And I don't believe, haha, here's an issue. We went all the way around with both of these seams to start with. And that definitely is an issue. We also need to cut there, making sure that that goes all the way across. This will be an issue we'll have to deal with here in a minute. The little tab itself will need to have a front and back side. So let's go ahead and mark those. Now, if you look here, well, for one, our handle isn't meeting up. That's a problem. Easy to fix, though. We're going to go ahead back into our X-ray mode, and we're going to go and select the other bits around this dude, like so. Whoops, not that one. Not that one. Oh, Lord. Okay, we need to deselect. Deselect all these guys. There we go. And we need to select that guy. Yeah, just like that. And I believe we don't need to reselect this one, but I'm going to just for the heck of it. Oops. And we're going to go ahead and take care of this one over here the same way, because that is an issue if we don't. We'll select that all the way around, select that all the way around. And now we have all seams for those. They're cut away, they're separate, and I can bet you now we have a much better issue going on. Also, well, yeah, that is working on the inside because that should be the same seam. I'm going to double check that though. Oh, look at there. There's a seam that was not cut. Boom. Very important. That's this weird twisty thing. So now that we mark it as a seam, we can come back here and re-UV everything once more. Select all of our polys like so, and UV this again. And there we go. Much better. You learn really quickly what you've selected and what you haven't. And there we go. And that looks much better. Now there are plugins you can use to straighten some of these pieces out and stuff, but I'm not really going to worry about that. I think they're totally fine as they are. Let's see. Select, clip, you align. I don't think I have a straighten in any of these tools at the moment, so we'll just leave them as they are. But there is the bucket UV'd. And just to kind of tell you how that's going to work, we could take any kind of an image and plaster it on that bucket and kind of show you how that works. But what I'm going to do is, for one, give this multiple materials. So in our edit mode, the bucket front or all the bucket sides, let's go ahead and first of all apply a material to the whole bucket. We're just going to call this bucket white, and that will just be assigned to that. Now I'm going to take the polygons on the outside of the bucket, not any of the ones on the inside, none of the ones on the bottom, just the ones that run along that outside. We're going to give those a new material here, and we're going to call that bucket decal. That sounds great. And for now, I'm just going to make that a little bit reddish, and we're going to assign that. And when we go into our material view, you'll see that it's like a Colonel Sanders bucket of chicken there, which everyone loves. And now bucket handle is going to also get its own material. And we're just going to make that, let's make it yellow. You know, that's a good toy bucket color, I guess. And this is going to be real basic, just sitting off to the side. You can see how smooth the inside is. Normally I would go in there and put another loop cut like this, just to crease that edge better. And now you can see when we look back down here, that edge is much more creased. That's how that's done. Not a fan of the handle though. I may change that handle out completely at some point. I could see it happening. But anyway, it's this child's room, you know, that has a whole bunch of clunky toys and so forth. But what I'll wind up doing is taking that bucket out into Substance Painter and repainting it, texturing it with other things. So if I sort of stick this back here somewhere, possibly just under that table, let's see what it looks like. Go into our view. It does in fact fit, which is pretty cool. What's not cool is that I left the handle behind. So let's try to undo that move and move both of these together so I don't have to realign those over and over again. And then we'll look from the side here, put that kind of under the table, sort of halfway sticking out, kind of like that. May have some things hanging out of it. We'll look back at our camera here, back in our view, and there's your bucket under the little table. Yay, cool stuff. All right. So now on to making more things. I will probably duplicate this bucket at least one time. Of course the kid's got more than one bucket. What do you think this is? Third world country? How many markers does this kid have? He's probably got a giant square like bin thing of Legos also. Everyone needs more Legos. That's just the fact. All right, let's just get this from a better angle now. Get it over on top of this dresser. This will be kind of like the marker bucket or something. You can even make a smaller one, you know, make that the marker bucket, take the handle off, which I'll probably do. Get this lined up correctly there. And let's just duplicate it one more time then. As I've stated, we'll make a smaller version of it. Grab that, move it somewhere here, and definitely more forward probably, kind of like that. We will take the handle off of it to make it look somewhat different and rotate it around a little bit so you get kind of a wonky perspective of it. And guess what? From this perspective, it's not even going to show. So more than likely what I will do is either get a different camera angle, probably, because that's going to be, yeah, right there. I'm not really going to show the door frame at all. So there, it's just going to really be sitting there in the very beginning of the first shot, right there on the thing. So this one will be bucket decal 2. I will have to make a separate slot for that. So this will be bucket decal 2. I believe I can select by, can't you do that? Select by material, select by type. Come on now. They didn't do that? Come on, they had to have done that. Okay, well, I might have to go into edit mode and reselect. I swore that that was a thing, though. Real easy to fix, though. I just go into my polygon view and marquee select. All that. Doesn't matter if I'm selecting the inside on this one. No one's ever going to see the inside of that bucket. And we'll just change this one to like blue. Oh, we changed both of them. My bad. We're going to go change that one back to red real quick. Like that. More of a dustier red. This one here, though, we're going to select these. We're going to assign that to it. And this one we're going to make blue. And that should now be a blue and red bucket there. And all is well. So that's just my process of building some of the toys. I'm going to wind up probably going and making sculpting in Blender a plushy rabbit, I think, that's just kind of saggy and sitting there. In fact, we can begin that now, I suppose, if we really want to. I'm just going to sculpt it in this same file. Normally I would sculpt it in a separate file and then bring it in from append it, from another file into here, but whatever. And like I said, if you want, you can comment in the comments, or the chat, I'm sorry, not in the comments below, but the chat next to the video I'm doing here, and ask things, say things, whatever you want. And so let me see. Those are our buckets. It's got a nice little lamp behind him here. I don't know if you guys saw that. I built that today. Right there. He's going to have a little stair step to get up so he can look out the window once he gets out of bed. Let's save this here one more time. And for fun, let's jump out of the camera. And let's just add in a sphere. I don't really sculpt in Blender, but we're going to try it. I've done quite a bit of it, but not enough. I mean, I'm much better in ZBrush. But we're gonna go in here and sculpt this ball and figure out how we're gonna do this. So I'm going to start with the body shape, I guess. And you know what? I need to move this to my other screen. So let me swap. You know what? I'm going to save this for another video because this is going to be a total restructuring. So let's do this in another video. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon. Have a